We're at the Carriage and Western Art Museum in Santa Barbara. This museum is a gem of Western history. Let's go inside and learn more. So I am really excited to be here. I was here 15 years ago and interviewed you, Tom, and I see so much has changed here. Tom, tell me what your title is and what you do for the museum.
Well, I'm vice president of the museum and have been for almost 25 years. I've been here almost 30 years. And we've made a lot of changes over the 15 years since you've been here. This is Dylan Peterson, my son, and he's going to take over the museum. He's president of the museum now.
Well, I want to get started in the interview asking you about the tradition of the saddles of the Fiesta. How did that start? The trophy saddles? Tell us more about that.
Sure. Yeah, well, you know, and we think back, the oldest saddle we have right now is in 1933. The horse had to live in Santa Barbara County.
Okay.
The rider had to be in Santa Barbara County.
Okay,
And the owner
it
had
was
to be
truly a local...
Yeah, and it was called the Hollister class, and it was a pretty coveted saddle, and the saddles were made pretty nice. Cost $8,000 to build one of those saddles.
I wanted to ask you about that because some of your older saddles, you know, are pretty collectible and valuable. What do you see as the difference? What made them so special?
You know, the people that made them, you know, in those shops that, like in the Loomis shops in Santa Barbara, and a lot of the things that we have in the museum today, we have Loomis saddles and Forbes saddles and Visalia saddles, and they were all here in, well, Visalia was here in Santa Barbara. They didn't make saddles here, but they had a shop here, you know, but there were guys that, like Silsby Spalding and Dwight Murphy and John Mitchell of that started the Rancheros. They all bought from Visalia, and they knew they had money, and so they catered to these guys and built some pretty nice saddles. We have some Dwight Murphy saddles here and some Silsby Spalding saddles. He had a huge collection of saddles that we have here in the collection today.
One of my favorite saddles is, it's a Spalding saddle, I believe, for his daughter or his wife that has the starburst conchos on it, and that's just an amazing saddle.
And we have old pictures, you know, from the 20s and 30s and 40s that these saddles that Dwight Murphy rode, and Dwight Murphy was credited for saving the Palomino horse.
Oh, really?
And he had Rancho San Fernando Rey that took in where Lake Cachuma is today. So this county got 500 acres from him for Lake Cachuma, and that's where he used to graze his Palomino horse.
But you have over, did I rewrite 50 saddles from some very, very special people?
Quite a few, yeah. We have the Cisco Kid saddle, and of course we have Clark Gable saddle.
Okay, now I gotta ask, do you have any saddles from Yellowstone yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so if Taylor Sheridan is watching this,
I hope so.
You know, hey, he should come visit this place, don't you think?
Yeah, well, you know, Kevin Costner rides the Dale Harwood, you know, and those are pretty coveted saddles today.
Really?
It takes about probably 10 or 15 years to get one if you want one.
Oh my God. So I also learned that one of the saddles that you have has over 1,500 pieces of silver in it.
Yeah, the saddle itself is kind of a production type saddle, you know, and it was made for, well, John Ricard, the judge owned that, and there's Fields made all the silver for it, and yeah, there's 1,500 pieces all over that saddle, and it's pretty fancy.
And we have heavy, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not quite as heavy as some of the other parade saddles that you see that have the serapes and the big heavy tapaderos and things, but it's not over the top, but it looks great. You know?
Yeah. Well, besides the saddles that are on exhibit here, you also have quite a group of carriages. How does that come about? How do you get these carriages?
You know, a lot of them have been here for quite a number of years. So again, we see photos, you know, dated back to the 40s, and we see carriages in there carriages that we have today. We have the Stagecoach, a 9-passenger Henderson that was made in about 1860 by Henderson and Sons in Stockton, California. And so, and then we have a 15-passenger Abbott Downing Tecolote wagon, which we call a mountain wagon, which they used to use for when you went to Yellowstone or Yosemite before there were buses.
Okay.
So they had these big 15-passenger mountain wagons that were way high, so you could see everything.
If someone's watching this and they've got an extraordinary saddle in their garage or a carriage in their backyard, do they contact you?
You bet, yeah. 90% of the stuff that we have in the museum, maybe even more than that. You know,
90%?
it's all been donated. I mean,
wow.
We buy a few things, not much. If they can't really, and people want to give us stuff on loan, but then you become a warehouse for you know, some property that their family wants to get back, you know, 30 years from now. that's really an important part of the museum. So we
Yeah.
usually, get it on a gift.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. I think we covered a lot of material today, but I sure hope people come, if they come to Santa Barbara or the Southern California coast, they make a stop here.